The story of the 1995 Norwegian rocket incident begins not with a countdown, but with the dual nature of technology. In 1945, Canada established the Canadian Armament Research and Development Establishment to ensure defense independence. While their goal was to build anti ballistic missiles, the project instead birthed the Black Brant, a sounding rocket that became the gold standard for atmospheric research. By 1995, these rockets were being used by NASA and the Norwegian Space Agency to study aeronomy, the science of the upper atmosphere, and the aurora borealis. On the morning of January 25th, 1995, a Black Brant 12 sat on a launch pad in Andøya, Norway. Its mission was scientific, to fly more than 900 miles high and probe the plasma interactions that create the northern lights. Scientists had followed protocol, notifying 30 nations, including Russia, of the launch. However, in the chaotic bureaucracy of post Soviet Russia, that notification never reached the radar technicians in Murmansk. The geopolitical climate was deceptive. Though the Berlin Wall had fallen and the Soviet Union had dissolved, Russia was a pressure cooker of instability. Economic collapse, constitutional crises, and the expansion of NATO had left the Russian military on hair trigger alert. When the Black Brant roared into the sky, it appeared on Russian radar as a massive, fast moving target. To the technicians, its trajectory mirrored a U.S. Navy Trident missile launched from a submarine, a classic first strike scenario designed to blind Russian sensors with an electromagnetic pulse. As the rocket stages separated, the radar interpreted the debris as multiple warheads. The Russian military immediately initiated a nuclear alert. For the first and only time in history, the Shiget, the Russian nuclear briefcase, was activated for a live crisis. President Boris Yeltsin was presented with his nuclear keys. Under Russian doctrine, he had only 10 minutes to decide whether to launch a retaliatory strike before his own silos were potentially destroyed. For 8 terrifying minutes, the world sat on the precipice of Armageddon. While the scientists in Norway watched their instruments in excitement, the leader of the world's largest nuclear arsenal watched a timer. It was only when the rocket finally veered towards the ocean, clearly missing Russian territory, that the alert was canceled. The incident was a chilling paradox. A rocket built for war had been turned to the service of science, and yet that very science nearly triggered the global catastrophe that it sought to avoid. It remains a haunting reminder that even in an era of supposed peace, the nexus between scientific discovery and military suspicion can be thin, fragile, and potentially final.